Welcome to the Art Crammer, where we turn pages of art history into clear and powerful revision. If you're aiming for top grades without the waffle, you're in the right place. Let's jump right in. Today, we're diving deep into Anatsui's incredible 1992 wooden sculpture, Erosion.
Oh, this is a fantastic piece to talk about. So much depth.
Absolutely. Our goal is to really, unpack the fascinating layers of meaning and context within this powerful work. We've gathered some great insights into how it was made, what it signifies, and why it's just so important.
It really is amazing how Anatsui takes these natural materials, wood in this case, and just transforms them to convey such profound ideas.
Yeah, it's way more than just carved wood, isn't it? It's a really potent statement.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's get right to it. The artwork itself, Erosion by Anatsui, 1992.
Right, and the materials are key here. It's wood, obviously, but also paint, wood chips, even sawdust.
And it's big. We're not talking about something small here. It's, almost 3 meters tall?
Yeah, nearly 3 meters. That's just over, 117 inches. Impressive height.
Yeah.
It's currently at the Smithsonian in Washington.
Wow. And it's got this huge sort of totemic, vertical feel, referencing a tree.
Exactly. And it really invites you as a viewer to move around it, to experience it from all sides. It's not static.
That movement is crucial, isn't it? Because as you walk around, you see this incredible contrast.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Well, at the top, you've got the vibrancy of the original wood, still quite solid. But then as you look down,
it sort of disintegrates right into those wood chips and sawdust at the bottom.
Yeah, they act like these really unconventional roots. It's quite stark, that transition from whole to, eroded.
That visual tension is so powerful, and it leads you into the symbolism, particularly the Adinkra symbols carved into the surface.
Right, Adinkra symbols from Ghana, which is where Anatsui was born. Tell us a bit more about those. What are they exactly?
Well, they're basically visual representations of aphorisms or wise sayings. Each one packs a whole concept into a single image.
Like a visual proverb. That's cool. Is there a specific one on erosion we should know about?
Definitely the Sankofa bird. It's shown looking backward, sometimes holding an egg.
Looking backward, what does that signify?
It symbolizes the wisdom of learning from the past, understanding where you came from to know where you're going. And Anatsui even used the term Sankofa himself to talk about reclaiming his roots in his art.
Ah, that makes so much sense. Learning from the past. Which connects to the feeling of destruction in the piece too, I think.
Absolutely. The way the wood is slashed, burned almost. It's quite aggressive.
Yeah, it really evokes the destruction of forests, like the Amazon, maybe even the destruction of cultures or the planet itself. It hits hard.
It does. And those wood scraps at the bottom, they aren't just debris. They symbolize what's been lost, what's fallen.
But maybe not entirely lost. Is there a sense of hope there too?
There is, potentially. They also suggest perhaps a source of nourishment, maybe for rebirth. It's that duality destruction, but also the possibility of something new emerging from the ruins.
Okay, and the overall shape, that verticality you mentioned.
It clearly references the original tree, standing tall, but maybe also, a call to stand up, to act on climate change.
What about the horizontal cuts? I read they offer a figurative path for the viewer. What does that mean?
It's like as you follow those lines around the sculpture, you're tracing the damage, experiencing it spatially.
So it draws you in, makes you confront it, maybe feel a bit responsible.
Exactly. It could evoke feelings of guilt, or at least complicity. It's not a passive viewing experience.
And the decoration, the texture, it's like a language in itself.
It's abstract enough to work on multiple levels.
So it can represent Ghanaian languages through the Adinkra?
And simultaneously speak to something geographically distant, like the deforestation in the Amazon. That's the power of abstraction here.
It's incredibly layered. And let's not forget the scale again, being almost twice your height.
It really creates a sense of awe, maybe even respect for this damaged entity. You have to look up.
And moving around it, looking up, it forces that reflection, doesn't it?
Yep.
On the damage done, but maybe also on what we can do.
Yes, it prompts thinking about proactive intervention, not just lamenting the loss.
Even the colors are significant. The wood itself, palmarfim, has these warm, earthy tones.
Yeah, very connected to nature, to the living tree it once was.
But then you have those really stark, burnt black lines and the dark ink of the symbols.
Which feel much more violent. Some descriptions suggest it evokes the raping of the environment or the violation of indigenous cultures by colonizers. It's strong language, but the visual is powerful.
It really is.
Yeah.
A visual representation of life and the violence inflicted upon it.
Absolutely.
So thinking about Anatsui himself, erosion comes at an interesting point, right? It's seen as the culmination of his wood phase.
That's right, before he famously transitioned into his large-scale metal wall hangings.
And background gives so much context. He was born and educated in Ghana.
Experienced traditional Yu culture, like kente cloth weaving, but also had a British colonial education that often ignored local traditions.
Right, and Ghana gained independence in 1957 when he was a teenager. That must have been a huge influence.
Undoubtedly. Then he taught art in Kumasi, which was, interestingly, a major center for Adinkra cloth production.
Wow, so that connection was right there. It really deepens the use of those symbols in erosion, linking past, present, future responsibility.
Exactly. It grounds it in a specific cultural practice, but elevates it to a global message.
Then he moved to Nigeria, to Nsukka, after the Biafran War.
Yes, and became involved with the artists there, particularly those associated with the natural synthesis movement.
Led by Uke Okeke. What was the idea behind that?
It was about consciously blending indigenous Nigerian art forms and aesthetics, like Igbo uli designs.
Uli. What's that?
It's a style known for its linear quality, often used in body and wall decoration. So blending that with European techniques and concepts they'd learned, kind of like negritude in Senegal, forging a modern African art identity.
So you can see how all these influences, Iyu, Dinkra, Uli, natural synthesis, his colonial education, feed into his work.
Definitely. And it shaped his approach to materials and techniques, too.
In the 70s, he was already exploring wood, clay, fabric, focusing on identity, humanity.
Right. But the big shift came in 1980 during a residency in the U.S. in Massachusetts.
That's when he discovered the chainsaw while cutting firewood.
Exactly. He called it a very evocative sculpture tool. You can imagine the impact, the power, the speed.
He saw a barely controlled violence in it, which is such a vivid phrase.
It is, and he didn't just cut with it. He embraced that violence in his process.
How so?
Well, after using the saw, he had further damaged the wood, burning the splintered edges with a blowtorch.
Burning it? Why?
He had this fascinating way of describing it. He called it civilizing the savagery of the saw cuts.
Civilizing the savagery. Wow, that's complex.
Very. But he also connected that scorching, that burning, to the injuries inflicted on African peoples by colonial powers.
So the process itself becomes deeply symbolic of historical trauma.
Precisely. He's embedding meaning right into the making of the piece.
Even the ink for the Adinkra symbols has its own traditional process, doesn't it?
Yes, the dark Aduro pigment. It's traditionally made by soaking, pounding, boiling the bark and roots of the Beatty tree, a whole involved process.
And the stamps carved from calabash. It connects back to the earth, to tradition in every detail.
It shows a deep respect for and engagement with those traditional methods and materials.
Which makes the context of its creation even more poignant. It was actually carved at an Earth Summit workshop.
Yes, in Manaus, Brazil, in 1992, right in the heart of the Amazon region.
And then shown at the Arte Amazonas exhibition in Rio de Janeiro, coinciding with the main Rio Earth Summit.
Exactly. That summit was huge, a major UN conference focused on rethinking development, halting environmental destruction. It was a global moment of reckoning.
So erosion wasn't just art about the environment. It was art made within that crucial global conversation.
A direct artistic response. Antony Gormley's Amazonian Field was also there, part of that same artistic engagement with the crisis.
It just shows how powerful art can be in these moments, right? It's not just reflecting, but actively participating in the discourse.
Absolutely. Erosion really forces you, the viewer, to confront these connections: environment, culture, history, responsibility.
It's such a complex, resonant piece.
Yeah.
The materials, the symbols, the process, the context, it all comes together.
It really does. It leaves you thinking about the deep links between saving our environment and respecting cultural heritage and our own role in that.
A truly unforgettable work. It definitely achieves that goal of making you reflect on damage and the potential for intervention.
A powerful call to awareness.
Thanks for cramming with us here at the Art Grammar. If this video helped, make sure to like and hit subscribe for more quick art history breakdowns. What artwork do you want to see featured next time? Say bye.